And you're a super tall guy.
Yep.
Right? So what I'm gonna have you do is I'm gonna have you bring your hands all the way out here.
Like outside?
Yep. Nope. We want that finger right here.
On the notch?
Yep. And now we're not gonna flare the elbows. Just watch my arm, okay? If I just grab that bar, where's my elbow pointing?
Outside. Okay. So
now where's it pointing?
Inside.
Down.
Yep.
So if my elbow, if I don't make that engagement on the bar, all that's gonna happen is my elbows go this way.
Right.
And it's gonna turn it down, it's gonna turn it into a laying down shoulder press. Because now I'm in my shoulder if I'm out here. So if I bring everything in here, now I'm lowering it into my back. Okay?
Okay?
So now when I go into my press, everything comes out. So it's just like you're gonna do a push-up.
Right.
Okay? And that's the floor.
Okay. So we're here and then shoulders or elbows in.
What I'm gonna have you do is we're gonna come out this way.
Okay.
And now push here like you're doing a leg press.
Like that?
Yep. Now I should be able to come over here and knock on your legs and your whole body moves.
Yep.
Because you're engaged to the floor.
Oh, okay.
Now when you come down, I want you to come right down into your sternum. A little bit lower, right there. Now, hold on. Stay down at the bottom. It's only 55 pounds. You're strong.
Yeah, we're good.
Look where the bar is in his forearm. Straight to the side. You can come right to the top. That bar is going straight through his arm. Okay? So that's good. Now when we engage from the back, and that's going to engage all the backside, so you're going to be able to press. We want to moon about to here. We never want to come back over our face.
Got it.
Okay? So when we press, we want to press right there. And that's our finish.
Okay.
Okay? And we don't want to lock the elbows until we're done with our set.
Right.
So if we're doing 10, I want my elbows to stay right there, not here. Because that takes everything in the back and it loosens it up and it breaks. So my setup is completely gone once I take that to fully lock out. Now it is only a 55-pound bar, but if we don't hit reps,
I see where you're.
If we don't hit reps perfectly, we want to slow that bar down. So it's only 55 pounds, but I want to act like it's 155 pounds.
Yeah.
So that way I'm letting all the small muscles, and the shakier that bar gets, that just tells me you're reaching where you need to be reaching to. Because all them small muscles, they just dance. And that's where that shaky comes from. So the more consistent that we actually break that down, we lose that shakiness because everything starts to get more stable.
All right.
Okay? Go ahead.
Yeah, hop in.
We kind of want to put everything kind of right here in this part of our back. And then we kind of bring our feet down. And it's almost like we're setting up a tripod. Our two legs and our neck is basically our strongest 2 points of contact. And if we were in competition, I just need to make contact. I don't have to have any pressure in my butt. I just want my butt just grazing the bench. So my two strongest points of contact are my neck and my feet. And then everything else in the middle is just bracing. Okay, so it's not like you'll hear, oh, it's bad form, you're arching. No, it's bracing. Because it's not a chest exercise. It's 70% back, and then there's some triceps, and you don't actually use your chest until you get to lockout.
Wow.
So unless you're benching for chest, the reason the bench is not really great, it's good for chest, but not great for chest, is because we're connected. So we only get so much range of motion down, and we only get so much range of motion here when our hands need to be here. So that's why they say if you want to really build your chest, dumbbells.
Right.
Because dumbbells you can move in ways that you'll never be able to move a bench bar. So the way we're supposed to bench press is we're supposed to use as much of our body as possible because it's a full body workout. We actually use more muscle memory here than we do here and here combined.
Wow.
So you only use about 7 to 8 muscles to operate the squat, and then you brace everything else.
Okay.
Same thing over here.
Deadlift.
Now you add all of your arms, so you're actually at like 36 muscles here that we have to fire off in a blink of an eye to press.
Gotcha. Wow.
So more complicated,
Definitely.
but the hardest lift.
Deadlift.
This is a deadlift by far. It's just because you're starting in such an uncomfortable position.
Right.
We want to be about right here. So that way when we come down, we always want to make sure that bar stays in a path to where it's going through our arm. If it goes behind our arm, we'll have this feeling the whole time. As we're coming down, it's going to fade back and it's going to flare us out. Okay? If it goes the other direction, obviously, we're going to dump it forward. And we're going to constantly be fighting gravity, making the bench press a lot harder than it needs to be. So we have to take that, we basically have to take that gravity by just trying to, the whole purpose of the bench is we're trying to bend that bar. So we're trying to put a torque on it to where we're bending a horseshoe. And then once we start going down, now we're trying to spread that horseshoe.
Gotcha.
So we're engaged the whole time. We're not just grabbing the bar and just trying to move it. Like we're engaging the whole time we're moving.
Cool.
Same thing here. Same thing here. And if we lose that engagement, the bench press becomes really hard. And that's where we come to that sticky point. We try to fight it.
Right.
And at that point, don't fight it. Just tell your spotter no, take the bar, and start over. Go get a drink of water, take a rest. That looked pretty good, by the way. But just go take a rest, come back, and try it again. If we fail, don't be afraid to fail. You're gonna fail.
Yeah.
Because when we try, there is gonna be failure. What do we learn from those failures? Because failures are positive.
Yeah, always.
In my book, if you don't fail, you're not trying hard enough. And if you don't fail, you're not learning enough.
Beautiful.
So it's just like anything else. If you're always winning, are you trying? You know, I like to win just as much as everybody else.
Yeah.
But if I'm not learning nothing because of it, am I really getting better?
Gotcha.
So if we continually fail, why the fuck am I failing? Sorry for cussing.
It's okay. We're not for kids.
But it's just like why did I fail? Where did I go wrong? And everything goes into it. I don't really think too much about nutrition, but even if my nutrition was better, could I have been better? You know what I'm saying?
Right. Would it translate?
So everything goes into how we train. What are our goals? If our goal is just to get stronger, just eat a lot and 70% like healthier than not healthier. Like if you want a cheeseburger, go eat a cheeseburger. Like if you want a Snickers, go eat a Snickers. Don't deny yourself the good stuff, because then it's gonna feel like torture. And it's not gonna be fun. It's not gonna be exciting. Because it's like, oh man, I can't eat that. Yes, you can. You know, it's just, what are you eating? Is it good for you? Is it bad for you? Because that's where you take moderation. Like if I want a cheeseburger, I'm gonna eat a cheeseburger, but I might have a salad, but I'm gonna eat a crap ton of salad, put a lot of stuff on it, because it's still a better option than, you know, French fries or, you know, something like that. So it's, nutrition doesn't have to be 100 unless you're on like a weight loss goal.
Gotcha.
So weight loss goal, it's just calorie deficiency.
Yep.
So it's like I'm so used to eating 3,500 calories. Okay, but if I want to lose some weight, 3,000 calories.
Yep.
You know, I can still eat a lot of stuff, but I'm just keeping 500 calories out of my diet every day.
Yeah, just more conscious of the
Yep.
calories. Yeah, what
There
an
you go.
introduction, Brian Forbes, everybody. We didn't even get into it yet, but yeah, we're here in the.
We're learning.
What do you call this place?
Oh, this is the den.
The den.
There's the there's the banner right there.
Cool. I just wanted to be sure. I don't want to get anything wrong.
Just don't move your head.
I started looking around.
Nope. Just drive. What we want to do is we want to drive in the legs and we want to drive that head back.
We'll get product shots in there.
Goes relevant to the company.
There you go. Not bad.
I don't know what we're doing.
No, man, just
That
whatever.
you want, yeah.
Your form's not bad. Your bar path was good. Your control was good. I understand it's just a bar.
Yeah.
But the more we can control this, that's where we start. Okay, and then once we start to lose that control, that's where our working reps stop. And now we're at a max effort level. Okay, so our warm up should be nice. They should be easy. They should be fully controllable. And then as we move up in weight, where that control kind of goes, that's kind of our working sets now. Okay, because we're gonna have a little extra.
Yeah.
So where it stops becoming easy, that's working sets.
Gotcha.
And then where the working sets start to become really, really hard, now we're kind of in that max one rep range.
Yep.
At that point. So we're gonna work basically 10s to 5s to 3s, and then once the 3s just kind of get where we're not getting 3s,
Yeah.
that's what we'll put on a weight, and we'll try a 1.
Cool.
All right.
Love it. Should I get some more bar in?
All right. We're just gonna do one more set of bar. Come in just a little. Nope. Go down. Right there. So you want to touch right here every single time. There you go. There you go.
So it's like a downward slope
Kind of, yeah.
in a way.
Yeah, that's kind of
Because I feel like at the top
Here.
of my set, I want to push it out, right?
So what we're looking for, I don't need to hold nothing.
No.
So what we're looking for here is once we get out, all we want to do is just settle that bar into the forearm. Bring the belly up and then squeeze.
Okay.
So it is going to have like this little back this way. So I'm not pressing it straight up.
Okay.
I want to press it kind of in this little 1/4 moon and then back down.
Okay.
Quarter moon. So the elbow is my director. Where my elbow goes, the bar is going to follow. Okay? So my elbow goes out, everything's going to break, and I'm going to have this movement here.
Yep.
I don't want that movement. So our job is to bring everything in and just try to keep everything tight, but not over tight, because then I'm gonna have this.
Yeah.
So all I want to do is just track that elbow in and let that elbow come straight down.
So wrist and elbow should be like perpendicular then? Like it should
The
be-
wrist should be locked because that's this motion here.
Okay.
Once I get that bar, I want to torque. And then so I'm not holding the bar like this. If I hold the bar like this, there's no stability.
Right.
If I torque the bar,
Less.
way more stable this way than this way. So I'm locking my wrist in that position. So all I gotta let is my elbow direct.
Okay. Cool with me.
So like I said, we're trying to take that bar and we're trying to bend it in front of us. And then at the same time, I'm trying to rip that bar apart. So I'm engaging everything here, here, here. So I don't have that flare.
Cool.
Challenging, painful. It's just a reminder to take.
I'm sure you hear this a lot, but what got you into powerlifting?
I don't even know. I don't even remember.
Was it just the chase of the strength, or like did you find that like,
No.
I'm comfortable, I'm good at this?
It was more because I used to play hockey when I was a kid, all the way up until I was about 21.
Cool. What position?
I was a forward.
Hell yeah.
And I ended up going head first in the boards, kind of like the kid from Boston.
Yeah.
But instead of going head first, I was able to get my head out of the way, and I took all the brunt of it in my shoulder and tore out all the ligaments. And then I had multiple shoulder surgeries where they ended up taking the part of the clavicle bone out.
Wow.
So I have nothing actually sitting in the rotator part of my arm. So it was basically a couple years of construction work, and I always said I would never lift weights.
Wow.
Just for the fact because the doctors told me I would never be able to lift. So we ended up living with my in-laws for a little while, and my wife's dad, he bought P90X, and he did it for the 90 days, and he was like, "Oh, if I can do it, you can do it." And I was like, "Well," I was like, let me watch the videos and like see what stuff there is and see what stuff that there is that I can kind of change, so I can do half the stuff, because still I can't do a pull up because the pressure of pulling up is so much pressure that it feels like the shoulder socket is going to rip out of place.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So even if I bench wrong, like I still get that feeling. So if I'm not tight,
right,
everything just kind of falls apart. So that was the biggest reason why I got in the shirt, because I got to 500 raw and it was just excruciating.
Yeah.
And then one day, like I went back 2 weeks later and I could barely bench 135 pounds. And then I had to rebuild that. And then once I got back to like 405 for 5, I was like, nah, there's got to be another way. And that's when the shirts were introduced to me, and I ended up getting in the shirt, and it was just 500, 600, 700, 800, 900.
Just started climbing.
Yep. And after I got to like 826, because the Omaha Open was my first meet.
Yep.
And after that meet was over, that one got me into the Arnold.
Wow.
And I got second place at the Arnold. And then after that one, I said I wanted 1,000 pounds before I turned 40.
Cool.
So from that date, I had less than 2 years to do it. And I did it before I turned 40.
Yep. Yeah, it was shortly around that time too, no? I know it's 2021, but it was October still, no?
August of 2021.
That's sweet. Yeah.
So you just like what are your goals? How hard are you willing to push for?
Right.
And like that's what I tell my softball team, because I assistant coach softball now.
Cool.
But that's what I tell the girls. It's just like, you guys want to play college softball. It's like, what are you willing to sacrifice?
Yeah.
What are you willing to do to reach your goal? And I was like, because I'm gonna tell you, I was like, if you got a goal, and I was like, it's a big one. It's like there's a lot you need to sacrifice.
100%. Right.
Sadly, it was sacrificed a lot of family time, sacrificed a lot of my friends, because it was like all they wanted to do was go out and drink. It's just like, oh man, I got this goal in mind, and I was like, I'm gonna hit it.
I'm gonna chase it. Yeah.
So
Beautiful. Should we throw a weight on now?
Yep.
Or? Hell yeah. Is that a 25?
yeah.
Now, just because I know they don't know anything, can you explain why we put the weight towards the inside?
Just because it's a handle.
Some people get really anal about it, huh?
In competition, the first weight goes in. So if there's a judge over there, they can see the weight.
Oh, okay.
And then the other weights go outward, so the judges can see the weights.
Yeah, some people freak out about it.
So it's just so the judges can see what they're doing. I don't give two shits. I put them all on this way just because you have a handle. So when I pull it off, it's already in my...
It's already in grip.
Yeah. So that's the only reason that I do this. Other than that, there's people that do it the other way. That's fine. It's their preference. If I'm lifting with them and they put it on the other way on that side, I don't care. But I do care when they go back on like this, so you have the handle.
Yes, sir.
Makes sense.
No, it's a big deal. That's why I asked.
I had no idea.
Yep.
If we're not taking that air at the top, we don't have that. We don't have enough to brace.
Okay.
So it's like every time we want to take that diaphragm, we want to fill that balloon. So if we have that balloon, when we get to the bottom, as if we were to deadlift, if we don't have that air, think about putting a balloon right here and then going down to pick that weight up. Okay? If I have that balloon, what's that balloon want to do?
Like,
And now I have that balloon to bounce. Okay? So I have that balloon to brace into my legs. And now that's going to give me a little boom, a little extra to come to the bottom. But if I go down with no air, I'm completely flat. Same thing. If I take that weight out with no air, I'm completely flat. Now when I get to the bottom, I'm going to get gassed out.
Right.
So I have a theory to where it takes anywhere from 5 to 7 seconds to do a perfect rep. Okay? So 5 seconds down, 5 to 7 seconds down, however many seconds it takes you. So one to 2. You need to have about 15 to 30 seconds of air. So how big of a breath do I need to take to be able to hold my breath for 30 seconds? That's how much breath that I need to take. And that first one is crucial. Because the first one is going to set up for the next one. It sounds weird, but it is. So the bigger air I get, the more it stretches that diaphragm out. Okay? The more that diaphragm gets stretched out in the session, the more air I'm going to be able to get. Okay? Right. So taking the first one through the nose.
And just really
because every time I exhale, I'm not exhaling the entire diaphragm. I'm only letting out enough. And then I take in to fill what I just exerted. So I fill it 100% every rep that I can stay in that set. I'm only exerting 50% of my air. And then I'm able to take in 50%. But once that weight comes completely out, now I try to take that breath, it's going to be a lot harder. Because one, my setup isn't complete because I didn't take a big enough breath.
Right.
The bigger breath I take before the first one, before that weight comes out, that's my start. So it's more important that I get more air before I start, because now when the weight comes out, you're 100%. You're set. So you're able to engage a lot more. When you don't have enough air, you can't engage as much as before.
Right.
So the more air we have, the more engagement we have. The more control we're going to have. The more stability we're going to have. Okay? If we have no air, think about a bowling ball on a 2x4.
Right.
We're not going to have that stability, and that bowling ball is going to roll right off. Okay? The more air we take, now it's a bowling ball on this thing. It ain't going to go nowhere because there's enough. So it's going to have that stability, and it's going to stay put. Okay?
Yep. I got to get these nerves out. I'm all excited. Hop in. What's the most you've ever benched? I know you did a little bit in high school, but not like it was high school
it was
lifting.
high school. It was probably, what was on max? Like 165?
Okay, this is 105, so
We're coming up quick.
Yeah, we did that quick.
Yeah. One thing too, their weights. Slam them a little. Heck yeah.
yeah, you ain't gonna break nothing now. Promise you that.
The gym we go to, they make us not slam the weights. So
Yeah,
it's
commercial
a habit.
gyms.
No, this one was built to take a beating.
Oh, okay.
So, like I can't tell you how many times that I've self-unracked 900, like 800 to 900 on here.
Yeah.
And just power slammed it straight back into the thing. So no, it's built to last. I had my welding buddy came over like a week or two ago, and he reinforced all the places that needed to be reinforced.
Cool.
Not bad.
So, unracking 900 pounds by yourself, that just seems inhuman.
I'm actually the first and only person to do it.
Oh goodness.
In a meet.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I was pretty happy about that.
I would be too. Are you born and raised from Seward?
No, I was born in Waverly, which is just 30 miles that way.
Yeah, right, closer to us.
Yep. No, I grew up in Omaha, though. That's where I started playing hockey when I was a kid. That's where my grandparents lived.
Cool. Big fan of the Lancers, or?
Yep.
Got it.
I hate the Stars with the passion.
Who's your pro team?
Red Wings.
Red Wings? Nice. Nice.
Okay, since we have this weight, do what you do on your hand. Nope, we're just gonna let the thumb, because all I want is the thumb here.
Yeah.
So I have this, and then I just take that little pinky knuckle here, and that's where I'm torquing.
Okay.
And then I drive, and now that bar is in my forearm.
Got it.
Okay?
Yeah,
If I'm here, that bar is gonna do a lot of this,
Right.
and every rep, my wrist is gonna roll, 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 roll. Now on the last rep, my wrist is gonna look like this, and the weight's gonna be behind my arm rather than in my arm.
Makes sense.
So it's just basically, if you want to learn to set your hands, it's just setting your hand like you're gonna make like a Diamond Dallas page. All right, and then we just take our hands here, and we just spread to where we want our hands, and then I just rotate from, because you can even see right where it makes that little line. So I'm not actually in my hand, I'm literally directing on my palm. So the weight goes here, so it can drive through the forearm. So every time I go down, that weight is distributing into my body, not behind it or not in front of it. So that is the key to the bench press.
Got it.
So our hands are very important. Our leg drive is important.
It's the full body.
Yep. Very nice. All right, this is 145. If any of you have any second questions, any doubts, we could take weight off. If you want to try it, we're trying for 3.
Cool.
Except I'm gonna have you back here.
Yeah, I'll take care of it. Just so everybody knows, it's a 55-pound bar. I just want to make sure that's known. I'll tell you what, just that little tip of the wrist makes so much more sense.
Oh. There you go. Very nice.
That was good.
That was the first 2 were a little iffy.
Yeah, they were rocking.
But those last 3, you see the difference though? You tightened up just a hair. And you didn't let this happen. We gotta keep that wrist right here. Just let that thing sit right there. Then we just torque everything. And that's when that elbow comes in.
Yeah, that was a huge tip too, because I felt it immediately as soon as I had that, exactly what you said right in the forearm.
Because once we start letting shit flare,
Yeah.
we start to feel it in here. We should never feel bench press in here. So if at any time we're feeling it in here, we just need to rack it, sit up, take a drink of water, and get back to here. Because this, it's almost like as if you were going to punch somebody. You're not going to punch somebody just, you're going to get into it, and you're going to flex that entire side, and you're going to come with it. That's exactly how it needs to be. Everything needs to be here. So we're not here, we're here. So everything tightens up all the way across.
Let's go.
Watch out. You got this.
Up.
There we go. Last one I barely helped. What do you think?
It's heavy.
Yeah.
It's
It's a big difference.
I never lifted like that. I never did. In high school, I usually go to the gym by myself, so I'm always I don't know proper technique, I don't know proper form, so it's I don't do it.
Just for the sake of today, I am going to drop you back down to the 25s because you didn't need any assistance there. That's where you're going to get the most benefit of growth. Like that would probably be like around your max effort growth area. Coming down and having your spotter help you a little bit, I'm always cool with it. Because what that allows you to do, it allows you to push at a maximum push, okay? And having a spotter there, even though they might be giving you a couple percentage help, it's allowing you to stay in a bar path. So you're not just flopping around like a dead fish, going up like this. We don't want that. We want everything to stay here at all cost. So at all cost, if I'm at a max effort lift, obviously I don't want anybody touching the bar until I say no.
Yeah.
If I'm coming up and I know it's not going to go, I'm not going to hesitate. I'm going to say no, and we're all going to take it, and we're going to rack that fucker. Okay? So a lot of people, they're like, don't touch my fucking bar. That didn't count because you touched my bar. Well, of course it doesn't count. It's in a fucking gym. It's a gym lift. But even in a gym lift, like I want to keep perfect form, but I want to push a little bit. So what I call that is control this part, because that's going to be a proactive negative. Just because I can't press it without the help, if I can control this part, that's letting everything stretch. But it's strengthening everything in the down. So eventually, I'm going to be able to squeeze right back into it. So the fact that you can control that weight, it's not too far behind that you're going to be able to press that weight. So what I would tell you, if you go to the gym by yourself, if they have any chest presses, trying to think, hammer strength of that nature, if they have any of that, do extremely heavy threes. Because we don't have to worry about this part, but it lets us do this part. So we can get this part and then go do some dumbbell work, because that's going to work the stability part.
Right.
Because the machine, obviously, you're on a fixed motion. So you're only going to be able to go one direction. Make sure that direction is coming from here, not out here. So get close grip. Same with dumbbells. When we do dumbbells, you can do here, but turn them. So we're making that little torque feel. So I'm pressing a dumbbell, turn. So that's going to keep your elbow in. And now we can just keep everything tight. And just keep, because once we get to here, I don't want to full motion that, because it's going to push everything out. I want to keep everything to where I can keep my elbow in. So I don't want to come too close, because if I come too close, I don't want to go full range. I want to go 90, because now that's going to build my tricep. So any close grip shit, 90 degrees.
Okay.
Because that's going to help really build your tricep, and it's going to help build the overload to the chest. So you're going to hit some chest and you're going to hit triceps, but you're also going to be able to control with the back. So you're using back, you're using triceps, you're using a little chest, everything, and you're also tightening and using the stabilizer muscles from your shoulders. So you're getting a full upper body workout just by doing half reps.
Right.
So all beneficial to what you're trying to do. Wide grip. Wide grip dumbbells. Let them dumbbells come out while we try to keep the elbow coming down. So it's kind of more like a little fly. And then we just squeeze back this way. So we're not actually doing the pressing motion. It's just holding them out here and letting them come all the way down until what would be a touch, and then we squeeze back in.
Gotcha.
So it's strengthening everything that we're trying to tighten, so everything can stay inside.
Cool.
We don't want anything to get inside. So think about it as accepting a basket. If I accept the basket, my elbows are in, and if I'm holding that basket, I have all this tightness. So that just goes to boom, and that's where my hands go. So it's an accepting a basket. It's accepting the weight. When I accept the weight, it comes in through a funnel, and it goes into my central nervous system. If I do this, I'm not accepting the weight, and everything can come outside that funnel.
Right.
I'm not trying to strengthen out here. I want to hit here every time. So anytime that we lift and we take our time, we're strengthening from the inside out. And then anytime that we do accessories, we don't want to max out on accessories because it's just an accessory.
Right.
All an accessory is to help repair and recover. That's it.
Cool. What are we throwing on? Are we doing this again? I can do it again. I don't mind. I'm just curious.
No, we're gonna go ahead and go up.
Let's go.
I just need 3.
Cool.
You're gonna get your 2 plates today, son.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Okay, before we unrack this,
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna give you a handoff.
Okay.
I need your feet to stop moving.
Okay.
I want you to spread your legs a little bit, drive into your heel. Now get everything tight. 3, 2, up, out, out, right there. Go. Up.
Oh, that.
Oh, good. Last one a little shaky, but.
Because you didn't come all the way down.
Oh, okay.
Well, okay. So that is a good tool to use.
Okay.
They call it the Larson press. Okay. So the Larson press is they come about 1/2 inch, stop, and press. So you're not going all the way down. So you're basically staying in the weight at all times. So it's just time under tension. And then they have the Spoto press, which is kind of the same. Sorry, Larson press is the same, except he has no legs. So he has no use. So he has his legs out, so it's feet up.
Yeah.
And then the Spoto press is just keeping 1/2 inch away from your touch.
So quick. Like,
No, it's down, pause, go.
wow.
So it's staying in the pressure.
Okay.
Once we come down and touch, a lot of people, they let the touch come down and they break.
Yeah.
And then they use that heave to press. I try to teach not to do that.
Gotcha.
I want everything tight, tight, tight. So instead of that heave, we bring everything to the bar. That's that whole point. That's the whole purpose of the expansion. Let this expand. Let this come to the bar. That way I don't do this.
Yeah.
I do this. So any movement that I would do with the bar on me, I'm gonna do before the bar gets there. So once that bar gets to me, I'm deeper in my leverage. Now I'm gonna have a tighter squeeze.
Okay.
Okay? So there are so many little things that you can do to strengthen your bench press, and it's just by trying different things.
Okay.
You don't always have to do the same thing. Try different things. And that's how everything kind of gets rolling, and we don't have to fuck with muscle memory.
Gotcha.
Because muscle memory eventually is going to take over, and like if you're just doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over, yeah, you're going to become really good at it. But now there's going to be those walls, and it's going to take a little bit longer because there's so much more to evaluate. Like where exactly is my strength leaving and my technique is taking over.
Right.
So like raw, it's just straight up strength. And then technique plays a really important part.
Yeah.
The shirt, it's technique, and then strength just plays a little small part.
Sure.
So
Now, what do you say to the people that give like the crazy arches in their bench? Like I've seen some of the people that really wrench down. Like,
Ridiculous.
take the 25 off.
is that how would you say? 10?
Yeah. Oh no, 5.
5? Because I mean, I've never been able to curl up like that. I just don't feel like it's comfortable.
More times than none, you're gonna see a lot of the ladies doing that
Yeah.
more than the dudes. But there are some dudes that are flexible enough to like get away with that.
Yep.
What I say to it,
Good.
If it's legal and it's by federation standards, by all means.
Yeah.
If the federation isn't,
One more.
if it's not legal by competition standards,
Good.
I'm not gonna coach anything like that. But if you have the 3 points of contact, if your feet are on the ground and your butt's just touching and your head's still on the pad,
Go for it.
Power to you.
Yeah, to each their own.
because
You want to try it?
I'll try it.
my biggest issue,
You tell me when, though.
and for for certain reasons I don't squat like competition wise, is depth.
Yeah. It's
Like-
subjective, right?
It is, but it isn't.
Good.
Because the whole thing on depth
two,
is knee
one.
to hip.
Ready? Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on.
Drive.
Push.
Good.
There you go.
You going for 2?
I'll go for 2.
Good.
Give him a little help.
Go, go. Come on. Good. I'm not just gonna take it from you.
Always make sure you go down to the chest. Always.
Yeah. I have that problem too.
That's good. It's gonna be because you're just gonna get stuck. Because we're trying to fire off all those muscles under pressure. So if we're not used to doing that, it's just gonna stick us, and then that's where we're gonna fail. Okay.
Cool.
All right. We're going straight to it.
I like to hear it. I'll say you can have him back there too if you want.
Nope, I got it.
All right. Nice and slow, huh?
Yep.
Go.
Up. Drive. Nice.
Holy shit.
Let's go. Damn, the Brian Forbes magic, huh?
Nice job, bud.
I've never done that in my life.
Hey,
Never done
you
that in my
just did
life.
it. Yeah, you just did
Till
it.
now.
That's
You mean
cool.
you never done it? You just did it.
That's cool. It's definitely not a working set though, right? I gotta take my ego out of here.
I would. You do have the strength
Okay.
to do it. Okay. Now it's just consistently build within probably 150 to about 190. Okay. So just take that area for the next 4 to 6 weeks
Okay.
and literally build. Start with 5s at 150 and go from 5s, 3s, and that's it. And then run 3s until that last weight where 3s are just a little hard, and do a couple sets at that until you can't do 3s no more.
Got it.
And then go do accessories.
Okay.
Accessories, high back work. So any barbell, dumbbell rows,
RDLs and stuff.
work the high back. Okay.
Okay.
So once we bench and we max out on our bench, we don't need to do heavy back work, just light back work. Okay. So eventually we need, if we can do 225, we should be able to do that's 235. We should be able to do 235. We should be able to do exactly what we bench in our rows.
Right.
Okay. So what we can row is technically what we should be able to bench. Okay. So our back should be as strong as everything because that's where it's coming from.
Yeah.
So if I can pull that weight, I should be able to push that weight. Just as if I can lower that weight, I should be able to press the weight.
Right.
So it's the exact same thing. If I can lower it, I should be able to pull it. Because it's the exact same thing. I'm putting 225 pounds into the lower. Now I'm able to press. Because I'm keeping that muscle tight so I can squeeze.
Wow.
But if I just come down with nothing, I don't have nothing to press. So the slower we can go, the more tension we're building.
Gotcha.
And then when we get to the bottom, all that tension just, so it's like a firecracker. The more I can load, the more it's going to explode.
Gotcha.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%.
So the weight that we're taking in is the gunpowder. If I can take in a full amount of gunpowder, I'm gonna have a full amount of explosion. If I let any of that gunpowder drop on the floor, I'm not gonna have as much explosion, right? So if I need 100% air, I need to take as much air as possible, so I have that to
right.
So I have that to brace. But if I don't have 100%, I lose percentages every single time. I don't want to lose those percentages.
Right.
So every single time that I bench, I want to have the highest percentage possible. So if I feel like total dog shit, obviously I'm not going to go to 800 or 900 pounds.
Yeah.
I'm going to stop. I'm going to go. It's going to be my light day, and I'm just going to do 500 to 600.
My light day.
But try to do it. Well, I don't lift raw though.
Yeah.
Like I stop raw like 3 plates, and then I go straight to fucking my shirt.
I mean, still. Raw
But
3 plates.
but that's how I am. It's like once I did my 500, I was like, I'm never benching raw again,
Sure.
because it was just too detrimental to my ailments.
Yeah.
Like this side has no clavicle, and this side has a bunch of fucking tears in the labrum. So it's just like, okay, what can I do so I can maintain a fun bench? And there's my fun.
Right.
Like I don't do it for medals. I don't do it for the glam and the glory. I lift in my fucking garage.
Right.
I don't go to gyms. I don't like this. This is it.
Yeah. No, it's awesome. I mean,
And,
I love
and,
it.
and every once in a while, it's like I'll go test what I do. And if I'm successful, great. If I'm not,
Back to square one.
yeah.
Yeah, right.
My only goal is if I fail at a meet, am I healthy enough to get right back in the gym on that Monday? That's that's my biggest thing.
Cool.
So, yeah.
That's an awesome goal.
So
That was such a cool feeling. I still feel like I want to try it again, but I want you to hop in. Do you think you got it?
2 plates?
Maybe.
Shot.
I would say he's been with me in the journey for like the entire 2 years we're going on.
2 years. Oh yeah.
all right.
So
I just say get behind him.
yeah, I got him.
Stay with him on the bar.
Yep.
Make sure you feel him controlling it down, and as soon as he goes to press, just give him a little.
Yep.
And then the more he needs, just give him the more he needs. Just keep him right where he needs to be.
I'm gonna lift you off. You tell me when. 3, 2, 1. Ready?
Okay, hold it.
Go.
Go. Up. You're close. You just need a little more stability at the top.
Yeah, because I barely gave anything.
And now what you can do for that is don't be afraid to put weight on the bar. Have him give it to you. Just 10-second holds. Put it right where you need to. Engage hard as fuck. Get that hand out, and then just hold for 10 seconds. What that's going to do is that's going to build up the muscle fibers, and then eventually you could lower it.
Yeah.
It's just you're unstable here. So once we get that stability will go into a nice lower, and then that lower turns into press. So it's just stages of strengthening what I need to strengthen. Am I unstable at the top? If I'm unstable at the top, okay, I need to work on stability at the top. What you can also do is at the gym, power racks. Okay.
Yeah.
So power rack, we just put our safety bar at the top, and we just want to make sure we have anywhere from about maybe 4 to 5 inches of movement at the top. Okay. So you're starting here and you're just pressing, and then back down to the bar, press, back down to the bar, press, back down to the bar. When that becomes super easy, now we lower that bar. But now we can put our racks on there. So now we can unrack, lower to that bar, let it sit, dead press, and then those are your sets. And then once you're done, put it back on the rack. Then lower that rod again. And we're lowering that rod every time because we're just doing dead presses, but we're also getting the unrack practice as well at the beginning of our sets. Does that make sense?
Totally. It's like in the sense of pull-ups, right? Like they tell you to just hang.
Yeah.
hang until you get comfortable with that, and then you can slowly start to do like little press.
little,
It's the same thing. Just
And then also for pull-ups too, if you're fatigued at all, but you still need to get in some reps, grab your exercise bands,
oh yeah,
run those across, and now you can just use one foot on the band, and you can use a little band assistance to help you get the movements.
right. I feel like you'd have an interesting take on this. How do you feel about Smith machines?
I hate them.
I hate them too.
The only thing that a Smith machine that I find beneficial is fixed barbell rows,
Right.
because you can stand away from the bar and you can still get the pull.
Oh yeah.
So you can use the outside of your back along with the closer we get, we can pull on a fixed motion. And then we take that fixed motion into an actual barbell. Because a lot of people, what they don't realize is they have a swing. We want to try to eliminate as much. Same thing as deadlift. We're trying to eliminate any pendulum that you give yourself. So the closer to the bar I can be, the less pendulum I'm going to have. So Smith machines, obviously, it's on a fixed motion, so there's going to be never no pendulum.
Yeah.
So for back work, those things are absolutely great. Light floor press, okay. But all in all, using those things, the bench press, it doesn't work any of your stabilizers.
Yeah.
So the benefit, I would say, for a Smith machine is probably 20% benefit, 80% negative.
Yeah.
So
I try to stay away from them too. I mean, we have Planet Fitness memberships, so they're always there.
They're everywhere.
Yeah. I'm hoping they start to get the new equipment into ours.
I hope so.
they do have some benefit for ladies. Bulgarian split squats.
Yeah, more stability with those.
Yeah.
I always hate them because I'm tall.
Doing accessory squats, they rock because you can just focus on like certain muscle groups.
Sure.
Without having to worry about falling over with a free bar. So yes, they do have some benefit, but
They're mainly for safety though, right?
For safety.
yeah, and that's kind of why I got these,
Yeah, those are sweet.
because like if I want to squat heavy, I'm old. I don't want to walk that shit out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just stand up,
It unclips itself. Yep.
so I just stand up and I can squat.
That's kick ass.
And then when I'm done, just lean forward. So I never have to take a step when I squat.
Cool.
I got these things are weight rated for like 3,000 pounds. So if you do have to fall, and I also have the metal ones too. But so we're gonna try to build a bunch of other attachments for this thing. But
Cool.
like I want a monolift in here, but I don't have $5,000. So that's gonna be a little while before I get one of those.
Right.
So this was the closest thing. Coaching multiple kids, it's kind of hard because having to move this up and down
All the time, yeah.
is kind of a pain in the butt. So it was always like we'd have the group of like the same size, and then everybody else would do something different.
Right.
So
Time management, I get it.
yeah.
I get it.
Or it'd just be like, hey, you guys are squatting today, and you guys are like pulling today. Or you guys are just coming in to squat, you guys can come in tomorrow to squat.
Cool.
So,
Right.
like, anytime you step in a gym, just know, like, ego you gotta keep it outside.
Right.
Like, we can't be afraid to fail. We can't feel like we can't feel embarrassed.
100%.
It's a learning curve, and until you get the learning curve done, like that's where the building really starts. And if you can create like a trust, because that's what it is with these kids. It's literally creating trust.
Yeah.
If you can trust me, you're gonna get really strong. Like, and then once you're old enough, like, because his oldest son is like just turned 14, and my daughter does it too. But it's just like my son, he's 7, and like I won't let him actually like start doing this until he's about 10 years old.
Yeah.
And I do have a friend. He's up in Omaha, he has like the certifications to where he coaches kids. So he's got a whole team of kids, and they range anywhere from 7 to 12 years old.
Wow.
So like he's willing to coach him, but it's just the development. What's like, I almost take in like what's their mental state.
Yeah.
Like if they're really hot, like really energetic and rambunctious, those are the perfect ones.
100%.
The quiet and timid ones, those are the hardest ones to like reach that trust factor, just for the fact that like they don't talk much, so you don't get any of the feedback.
Yeah.
Like if you get those rambunctious ones, they're quick to tell you. Like, how'd that feel? Oh yeah, I felt great. No, like seriously, because it looked like crap.
Right.
Huh? It's like, yeah, it's like, we just need to do a little fixing here and there. And I was like, we'll get it. We'll have it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I relate to that a lot. As a kid, my mom I was one of those rambunctious kids where I couldn't sit still, My mom put me into so many different sports. I mean, it's hard for me to name a sport I haven't done, I think golf is probably the one that I haven't competed in, but everything else I've done.
see,
Swimming,
the thing is,
football,
like, when your
basketball.
parents put you in sports, it's like, do they enjoy it?
Yeah,
Because I don't want my kids doing nothing they don't enjoy it.
100%.
Because if you can't enjoy it, it's just going to be torture.
Yeah.
And it's going to be really crappy for the coaches. It's going to be really crappy for the other teammates. Just because you're going to always be that kid that the coach has to tell, shut up. Be quiet. Pay attention. Eyes up here.
Right.
Stuff like that. Or like when you're trying to coach, they're sitting there trying to talk to the kid next to them. It's like, okay, no, don't you can't do that.
Yeah.
When I'm talking, you're not.
Right.
And it's just like, I don't want to be a dick, but
That level of discipline has to be there. 100%. So I want to try this again.
Try it again.
no, coaching just in general, it's just a lot of fun.
Yeah, I love it too. I try to give back as much as I can. I mean, like I said, I've done a lot of sports. I'm not an expert by any means, but I give little tidbits if I can.
So like I coached one guy in Ohio online. He's got over 1,000 too. So not only have I benched it, I've coached one.
Wow.
All right. Up. Finish it. Nice.
I did that twice.
Yeah. Still though.
So what?
I'd probably go down like 155, 165 and just rep those, get real comfortable with that weight. Because, I mean, that's still cool as hell. You have no idea. My inner child is like, hell yeah. Because what's the statistic on that? Like, there's not very many people that can bench 225 or higher, right? There's a weird statistic with that. Like, physically, right?
I thought it was like a small percentage. Or less than half.
Well, in the grand scheme of the world, right?
Less than half, for sure.
I want to say it was under 25% can do 225 or 2 plates.
Wow.
And then it was like, I want to say it's like 20% for 3. And then it gets down to, I want to say like 12% for 4 plates.
Insane.
Wow.
What's the percentage on 1,000?
Yeah.
0.03.
Well, there's only, to date, there's only 32 people that have done it.
And you were 14th, right?
Wow.
And that was recent. I mean, fairly recent ago, right? 2021.
Yeah.
So that like they don't pump them out as often as you think,
No.
then, huh? How many people do you think? Go ahead.
It's 1,000 pounds. Like,
At the end of the day,
Yeah.
that's weight. That's weight right there.
like
Half a ton.
it's heavy. It's taxing on the body.
Right.
Sure.
And as close as people get, it's like you don't see enough people like going full range. You'll see them do like off like one board shit.
Yeah.
The problem is, it's like being able to do it to boards. The hardest part is that last inch.
Yeah.
Like when you get down to that touch, that is literally the fucking hardest part about 1,000 pound bench. Because it's 1,000 pounds on you. So like the 5 or 6 guys that have done 1,100,
Yeah.
You know, 5 or 6 guys. And then you got 2 guys that have, or 3 guys that have 1,200. And then you have the one guy at the top, he's at 1,400.
Who's that?
Jimmy Culp.
Oh, okay.
And he's working on breaking the 1,500 pound right now. So like there's those levels to where there's 32 that have 1,000, 6 to 7 that have 1,100, and then
Yeah. I mean,
so
amongst the
it's
elite.
it's just it's nuts.
Yeah.
And before the knees went, like I was trying for 1,100, and then 1,000 and that thing.
Wow.
So that's just different material. This is all pressure, all of it.
Yeah.
So wherever the shirt touches, the weight is distributed throughout your entire upper body. So it's while it wants to push you down, you're trying to push yourself up.
Right. You just kind of meet in the middle.
So you're fighting 1,000 pounds throughout your entire upper body while you're trying to stabilize the bar.
Cool.
Because once you get in this, there's literally a percentage, 1% failed. 99% is negative.
Wow.
You have a 1% chance to touch that one spot that you need to touch to get the pop out of the shirt to complete the press.
Wow.
So that one, the percentage is a little higher, but it's a band material. So if you don't come straight down into a path, it gives you the recoil or the rebound in a totally different direction. So if you come down too low, it's gonna shoot you out this way, and you're gonna fucking just go and do a dump. If you try to fucking squeeze too high or too hard, everything comes this direction, and you're just gonna fucking dump it over your face.
Wow.
So everything has to come straight A to B in those in order to get the straight up A to B press. So the amount of control and the amount of patience you have to have is absolutely just ridiculous.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the number of people that have done it to the number of people that can do it.
Especially consistently, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure people touch it and then they're done with it. Some people.
So yes, some people just say, I want the 1,000 of them to be done.
Yeah.
I'm at the point to where it's like other ailments are like keeping me from getting like, so, but I would like to at least get 1,000 pounds in the 308 because I did it in super heavyweight because I don't like numbers. I like letters.
Yeah.
No,
I get it.
but no, I want to hit it in negative 308, which is 275 to 308.
Okay.
And then I want to hit it in the 275 weight class too.
Cool.
Because I have a bad heart, so I have to go down in weight. So I just want to be able to hit it in 3 different weight classes and say I did it in 3 different weight classes.
Right. You'd be amongst the 1% again, right?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But I'm in the less than 1% on the self-un rack of 900 pounds.
Well, you're number 1.
Yep.
That's different than
I'm the only one.
Yeah, there you go.
How'd that feel? Like, what was the emotion from that? Because I mean, I obviously I've seen the lift, I've seen the 1,015, and you were hyped.
Well, it was more for what I was doing it for. So my good friend was murdered due to a domestic violence dispute, and that was her, like a fundraiser that we had for her.
Yep.
And both her daughters actually competed in that.
Oh, cool.
So I had her daughters there, all her parents, her grandparents, all her family. So it was a really emotional one, which was really cool. And then the 1,000-pound one, that was like a memorial to my best friend's aunt. Her and her husband, for 5 years, they fought cancer together. They both had cancer.
Wow.
He ended up dying to cancer, and she was like on the verge of dying, but she was able to show up to my meet for when I did the 1,000 pounds. So she was present. So
big motivating factor.
yeah.
I'm sure.
So it's just kind of, it's not that I did it and that it's exciting, because I did it and it was exciting, but it was just like why I did it
Yeah.
was way more important than the actual number.
Cool.
Because I've had people like, oh, you need to go fucking Guinness Book of World Records. I was like, no, that doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
I was like, 1, they got to be present. 2, I was like, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I was like, I know I did it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll call out everybody, you know, that's at the top, and nobody else wants to try it.
Right.
So it's just like, you can talk shit on me all you want, but it's like, I'll wait.
Yeah.
Nope, never gonna do it. Okay, then shut up. So
Go my goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a goal.
Here.
I want to be able to spot him.
I'm sure you have it.
So what are you, 275?
275 on the dot this morning.
So I think what was it, 255 was my max.
Your bench is tight, man, to be honest. Looks good.
show me how you squat. That's your squat bar. Okay, you're already off balance. I can already tell that. Okay. So what I want you to do is when we squat, we don't always need the bar on our spine. Okay? When I squat, I want it kind of more like I'm going to hold the bar on my back. And then regardless how we have our feet, we don't want to stay up. I want to roll my hip back and I'm tilting forward. And then as I go down, my hip goes back. And I keep my hip back to where I'm going in this seat. And then boom. So I am trying to keep everything in my heel because that's going to keep everything engaged to my back. But I want to balance to my toes. So where my feet are, I want to make sure that I got real good floor contact, which is why when we squat, if there's any chance, like those shoes are perfect. We need a flat sole shoe. If we could have a little wider toe box, that would benefit you a fuck ton. Okay. So when we squat, having more of our foot to the floor, like if I squat barefoot out here, because I want my entire foot. So I'm gripping that floor. Okay? So I want to get my feet in a position to where I can rip both. Because that's going to engage everything in my leg. So my leg is completely solid right now. But if I'm just like this, nothing is solid. Nothing is stable. Okay? So if I rip out, my knee is stable. There's no movement. So now our goal is I want to keep my knee as close to over my heel as possible. So that's going to give me a straight drive up. The hip is the key though. If my hip is not activated, and once I'm ripping the floor, that's me activating my hips. Okay? So if my hips are not activated, my squat is going to be dog shit. I'm not going to have any balance. So what I like to do is I just get a box to where this is pretty damn close. In competition, I would have to be like this because the knee has to be over the hip socket. And that's depth. That's all you need for depth. The knee over the hip socket. Okay? So as this is close, that's good enough for me for just doing what I want to do. But we can grab a bar, we can sit it in front of a post. All I want to do is keep that post in a position to where my knees just a little bit over, and I don't want to hit the bar. And I can do that in front of a wall. That's going to work my balance. That's going to build the balance. And now once I feel like I have good balance, now I'm going to grab like a PVC bar, and that's going to be my squat bar. And now I'm still going to go right up against that wall, and I'm going to try to squat and not hit my nose up against the wall. So when I don't have good balance, I'm going to gain it by doing repetitions, holding on to this. I can even push it away from me. I can pull it closer. All I'm trying to do is establish balance. Once I establish balance, that's going to give me control. Now, once I establish both of those, now I'm going to get underneath the real bar. Okay? And when I'm going to work to a weight to where I have neither of those things. Because that's going to give me my weight ratio of where I need to train. Okay? So that way I'm not trying too heavy, because I don't want my form to go to shit. I don't want my control to go to shit. So that's where the ego is taken out of lifting. I don't want to end up like this and think that's good enough. No. If my goal is just to work my quads, then yeah, going down this far is fine, because it's just quad dominant. I'm loading my quad. I'm squeezing with my quad. Once I get down, now it becomes a glute and hammy. So I need to feel that in my glute and hammy, and the only way I'm going to do that is if I have my hip engaged. So once I go to start, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be standing straight up and down. I want my hip cocked back to where my hip is over my heel. And then all I do is just take my hip and keep it going back like I'm looking for that chair. Because if I go to sit down, if I stand and I have my hands here, okay? I rolled forward and leaned, okay? If I keep everything by my hip, everything stays up. Once I get here, everything comes forward. So that's as if I'm laying down here and I let everything flare. Once I let everything flare, everything rounds. And now I'm rounded. Everything has to stay here. So I'm not doing this, but I'm doing this. So I have 3 points of contact: hip, shoulders, and head. And I don't want to lose those 3 points of contact underneath the bar.
Right.
But everything I'm doing to this bar, I'm trying to do to this one. So once it's here, I'm trying to pull down and forward. Now everything here is braced. Now all I do is take my air, put it in my diaphragm, and squat. And once I do it, it's just... So hip goes back first, then my knees can break. I don't want my knees to break until my hip is back.
Gotcha.
Same thing here. I don't want to take that off until my legs are straight, my hip is engaged. So if I'm not driving with my legs, I'm not going to have enough to unrack that bar.
Right.
Okay? Now same with deadlift. Regardless whether I'm deadlifting conventional or sumo, I suggest you train both. If you train both, you're training the inside of your leg and the outside of your leg. So we should be, they say it's cheating, but we should be able to at least do as much conventional as we do sumo. And then whichever one we get a few extra pounds out of, if we're competitors, that's the one we choose to compete with. Because yes, I can get a few extra pounds, because that's the name of the game of powerlifting.
Right.
You know? And what way is more comfortable? You know? I got a 1.5 inch displacement from my left to my right side of my hip. So deadlifting like this puts me at a very detrimental state.
Yeah, especially under pressure or under load.
So I can still do it, but I may not come up to here, because I don't want to put that pressure in my lower back. I just want to engage. So when I do conventional, I'll pull up to here and I'll stop, because I don't want to lock that hip. Because if I lock that hip, it puts that pressure on and it tweaks my back every single fucking time.
Yeah.
But if I go sumo, I can get my hip activated, and now I have a little bit more mobility and a little bit more freedom. So it doesn't, even when I lock, it still locks here, not back here. So I don't have the detriment of the tweaking of my lower back if I do it in this position.
Gotcha.
So if we're doing it in this position, we want just arms straight down from our shoulder socket. I don't want to be in and I don't want to be too far out. If I'm too far out, it's always going to want to round you. If I'm too far in, again, I'm not going to have enough to do this. So I want right out here, and I want that bar to be up against my legs. And all I'm trying to do is pull that bar, boom. So I never want that bar to leave my legs. So the whole time I'm coming up, I'm taking that bar and I'm pulling it to me by locking my shoulders. So when I get to the top, my shoulders are already locked into place, and I'm done with my lift. If I let everything round, now everything comes up this way, and I'm not here. So my entire back is rounded, and I'm lifting with my back, not my legs. So the whole purpose of the upper body is to get everything in a locked position so I'm braced. And then all I do is keep that brace, and I stand with my legs. Same thing here. All I'm doing is bracing the bar on my back. And I'm squatting and standing with my legs.
Right.
The problem with most people is when they squat, they have the bar too high. And when they get to here, everything goes this way. And now when I go to stand,
So much tension too.
yeah. So you have a lot of this going on in your back. And then when you get to the top, And then you also have the real close-legged. When they squat, boom, their knees just buckle. Okay, so that tells me there's no activation in the hip, and they're literally squatting with their back and their leg, and then their knees are like this, when they should be out here. Boom. So the hip is the key in all three. We're just trying to balance ourselves. Like, all I want to do is be able to balance myself kind of behind the bar. So I want to feel like the bar is behind me. So when I get in this position here or this position, I want everything to be, if I'm going to sit right here, I'm really comfortable. I have a lot of mobility, a lot of movement, and I'm very balanced. All I do is just hand, bar.
Yep. Squeeze the glutes.
So anytime I deadlift, I want to find my balance. Anytime I squat, I want to have balance. Anytime that I bench, I want to have balance. Because if I have balance, I'm going to have control. And if I don't have control, it's not a technique issue, it's a strength issue. If I have control and I have stability, and I just can't do it, strength issue.
Dang, cool.
Yeah, that was another thing I wanted to ask. Like, I don't know proper form for deadlift.
It's find your balance over the bar. If you constantly feel like my knee is getting too far, this is the wrong position.
Yeah.
All we have to do to fix that, instead of being here, be here.
So your hips are hinged a little bit more.
So I'm sitting in my hip.
Got it.
And then all I got to do is just pick up the bar. So this would be a horrible place because I either got to be out or in. And those two, I'm either out or too far in. So what I would do is I would change my feet to here so I can get down in this position and I can actually create my torque here into my arms. So I still have the bar, but now I can torque everything into my arms and I'm able to stand straight up. And I want to put all that pressure in my heel. So I'm in my hip, I'm in my heel, and I'm only balancing with my toes. So if I have too much pressure in my feet, I'm going to have too much pressure in my knee. Everything is going to be forward when I need to be in the back. And if I'm too far back, I'm not going to have any stability, and I'm going to feel like I'm going to fall over.
Yeah.
Okay? So it's really important that when we have our deadlift bar, it's really important to establish where you're most comfortable with your feet. Because the reason why is our hip. Do we have internally rotated hips, or do we have externally rotated hips? Or do we have front rotating? If we have front rotating, everything is going to rotate from here. Internally, same thing. We're gonna operate better inside. So conventional pulls is what we would want. If I have an externally rotated hip, I'm gonna have more out here. So this is where my comfort level is gonna be. So establishing where we're comfortable with our feet is gonna establish how we're gonna lift. And where your feet are here, same thing in the squat. How we deadlift is how we're gonna squat. And more times than none, how we squat and deadlift, that's gonna tell us is if we're internally, we're gonna be a feet tucker, and we're gonna be up on our toe when we bench press.
Gotcha.
If we're an external, we're gonna benefit more if we do the tripod stance. And that's how I do it.
Cool.
So if I'm just training and benching, just like here, I'll train both. I'll feet tuck a little bit just to kind of get the hips stretched out a little bit, because I can get them stretched out a little bit more if I tuck, because my drive comes from here. So that's going to warm up my hip to get it out to here. And now when I drive, everything is in full drive and I don't have a lot of movement.
Hell yeah.
So being able to do both on all three is very beneficial. But when it comes to squats, it's more like if it's closed feet, it's more quad, more high movement. And then once I start widening, now I'll start working down. But if I'm just warming up and I just want to fucking warm up my quads, by all means, I'll put a lot of weight and I'll just warm up the quads.
Gotcha.
And then once I get past my quads, now it's trying to work into the hammies and the glutes. Now I go super wide and I work my hammies and my glutes. Gotcha. And I work into full range squats.
Wow. That's, it all makes sense, yeah.
It does all make sense.
And that's what's complicated about weightlifting and having personal trainers, is they'll take your money happily and they'll give you a program. They'll take your money and they'll give you a program. They'll take your money and they give you a program. The problem is, same program.
Right.
You're all different sizes. You all lift different.
100%.
So their programs are not going to work. If it works for you, it probably won't work for them.
Yeah.
But they paid all that money.
Right.
So I break it down into its simplest form. And that's just control, stability, and consistency. And just find where you're comfortable and work within that comfort zone. And then eventually the weight's gonna get a little heavier, a little heavier, a little heavier, a little heavier, but you're conditioning yourself for it. So anytime that you're controlling a bar, you're conditioning your body. Anytime you let that bar break and you let your body break and that thing just falls into you, now you're just in detriment where you might tear something, pull something. So the more control we can have, the earliest we can establish our control, the better. So having people who have lifted weights for years that are doing it wrong, it's hard to tell them that they've been doing it wrong for so many years and that they could have been so much better, because then they think you're just full of shit. It's like, what do you know that I don't?
Right.
Well, it's like, I know you're making shit way complicated, because I figured out how to bench 1,000 pounds in under 2 years. When everybody it takes, I think the next person was 5, 6.
Wow.
Whoa.
So it's, what did I do different than what they did? Well, I went back and I studied all their videos and I started doing everything that they were, I stopped doing everything that they were doing. Because if they were doing all of that and it took them that fucking long to get to 1,000 pounds, obviously what they're doing is wrong. And all I did was simplify took out all the oh, you need to do this, and you need to do speed bench, and you need to do all this crap. It's like, obviously it's just crap. Because if you want to be a better bench presser, bench press is the only accessory that's going to make you a better bench presser. Incline bench is not going to make you a better bencher.
Right.
Close grip bench is not going to make you a better bench presser. It's going to make you a stronger bench presser, but it's not going to make you a better one. So consistently training how you're going to bench is going to make you a better bencher. Consistently training squats on how you're going to squat is going to make you a better squatter. Doing the movement that you want to be better at, do that movement and do it a lot. And then accessory around it. Accessory before it. Then do your main movement. So if you're going to bench, bench. And then once you're done with bench, everything after that is an accessory. If you max out on bench, you should never max out on an accessory. Max out on bench, just overload the crap on bench. There'll be days I'll come out here when I'm healthy, I'll do 700 to 1,000 reps. Regardless, warm up to the end, 1,000 reps. Wow. 500 minimum. My warm-ups are like 250 reps. And that's even before I start doing anything else.
At what weight?
The output volume is in that top right story on the left side. That's 75,000 pounds of volume in an hour and a half.
Wow.
And it's just starting from warm-ups to whatever it was by threes.
Wow.
That's what it takes. And that was 2 days a week. So it's consistently doing what you want to be better at. You want to be a better wrestler. What do you do? Fucking wrestle.
Yeah.
You want to be better commentators. What do you do? Commentate. You know, you want to be a better fucking interviewer. What do you do? Interview people.
Yep.
What you want to be good at, that's what you want to spend most of the time on. And then everything else after that is all about recovery and repair. So if we want to look pretty, higher volume with working set weight. Plain and simple. Good warm up, nice long warm up, high volume into that lower end of the working sets. That's going to start to break down that bit. It's going to strengthen the little tissue. It's going to start breaking down the big tissue. That's where we're going to get our growth. Okay? So that's where we get the size. We lose that size is if we try to keep going, because now we're not just breaking down the tissue, now we're tearing the tissue. Okay? When we tear the tissue, yes, we're gonna get some size if we repair it correctly and with the right amount of time. The only problem is you don't ever give yourself the right amount of time. So that tearing turns into long-term muscle damage. That takes a long time to repair.
Gotcha.
So you just keep lifting, you're just gonna scar tissue it. And then when that tears again, it's gonna be a lot fucking worse, and now you're gonna have fucking muscles ripped off your bone. So it's very detriment that we gotta know what we're doing. We gotta keep track of what we're doing. So if I go into the gym at 100% and I do 70% worth of work, I'm not completely tired, I'm not broken down, but I do 70% bench press work, right? I need to make sure that I can repair at least 70% of that back. So I gain back to 100. So I have 100% next time. Okay? So that doesn't mean I can't do back work. Doesn't mean I can't do shoulder work. It just means I can't bench press because I need to let all them muscles repair. So to recover and repair those, back work. Just back work reps. That's gonna allow oxygen and blood to flow into that muscle, and it's gonna push all the negative out. Okay, so it's gonna push all those toxins, all that lactic acid, it's gonna push all that crap out of my muscle, and it's gonna fill it with new blood, new oxygen, so it can repair and it can grow.
Cool.
Okay? If we break down enough and we give ourselves the repair process and the recovery process, we can ensure ourselves at least 70 to 80% recovery. So if I'm at 100 and I break down so much, I need to recover as much as possible. I'm not going to get back to that 100.
Yeah.
I'm just not. So I want to try to get back to at least 90. Now I have now I know I can't go heavy the rest of that week. So within that week, all the other recovery, I won't do heavy here. If I max out on bench, I won't max out on squat, or I won't max out on deadlift. But I will do bench, and I will come over here and pull. And then fucking, if I'm squatting, squats are just squat day.
Gotcha.
Just legs. So any accessory after squats is all legs. Leg curls, leg extensions, hip sled, leg press, dumbbell lunges. Dumbbell lunges are absolutely great. Walking with them.
Yep.
Absolutely fantastic. Just taking a walk around the block a couple times. When you're done with everything, just take a long walk. That'll allow blood and oxygen to get to your joints, so you don't cramp up, you don't stiffen up. Basically, bench press, like I said, back work, triceps, shoulder work are absolutely crucial. Deadlifts, again, pulling. Pulling is going to be your best accessory for deadlifts. Whether it be deadlifts off the floor, deadlifts off mats. That way you're not pulling off the floor. You can kind of judge kind of how far you want to pull off the floor, and then pull off the floor, find out what you can pull, and then raise it up a little bit. Now you're staying in your leverage a little bit more. Go up to about 2 inches. Now you're really into your leverage. So now it's just kind of like a high rack pull. So you're just strengthening parts, and then you'll work your way back down. And hopefully by the time you get back down to the floor, you're about 10 to 15 pounds stronger.
Wow.
So it's just finding ways that you can still give a high amount of output, but you're not breaking down as much, because one, I'm not going off the floor.
Yep.
So I saved that 1 to 2 inch breakdown. So when I need to go off the floor, I have that muscle tissue.
Yep.
The muscle tissue is still strengthening as I'm doing other stuff, but it's resting at the same time. So I might be doing the same amount of weight that I can pull off the floor, but the output is different. Because if I'm coming 2 inches off the floor, I have better leverage, I can get a better setup, and I'm not going to use as much muscle tissue to pull that off the mats as I would off the floor. Because off the floor, I got to get a little bit lower, I got to use a little bit more tissue, and so on. Same thing with bench press. If I'm having a sticky point here, so I'm 1 inch, and that's my sticky point. I can't, I just can't get past that 1 or 2 inches, okay? That's where we would put on a 3-board. So you're not working down to that 2 inch point, you're working down to that 3 inch point. I still have leverage and I can press, okay? So now I'm gonna press, try 3s, and then next set, I'm gonna try 5. If I can get 5, now I'm gonna take that 3-board off and I'm gonna go down to a 2-board. And now I'm gonna try for 3. Okay, I got that. I'm gonna do another set. Got that. Do another set. Got that. Okay, now I'm gonna try that same weight to a 1-board. Got 3, 1 set. Only got 2 out of the second set. So that's my working set when I do board work.
Yeah.
Okay, so now my goal is I want to get that weight down from a 3-board to a touch. So that's our goal. And that's something you can do on not a max day. On max day, it's find out. And then once you find out, go 4 to 6 weeks before you find out again.
Gotcha.
So 4 to 6 weeks, it's just max triples. What can I do for a max triple? Because that's where we're gonna have the most benefit of growth, and that's where we're gonna get the most understanding of what we can do. Because if we're not competing, we don't really need a max single.
Right.
I'm gonna learn more if I can do a max triple, if I can keep the first rep looking like the last rep. If I can get my last rep to look like the first rep, fuck, I'm in business. And then anytime that I can do that, now I'm gonna go up 5 or 10 pounds. I'm gonna try another triple and say I only get 2. Take 5 pounds off. See if you can't get a triple there. Oh shit, I'm gassed out, I only got 2. You got a damn good understanding of where you're going to that next session. So I suggest benching twice a week. Try to separate it 72 hours in between sessions. So if you bench on Monday, don't bench again until Thursday or Friday. Because what we're gonna do is you'll do heavy shit on Monday, and then you'll do the fun work. That's what I call it. I just call it fun work. Because you don't I want you doing close grip. I want you doing wide grip. I want you doing, pausing here and trying to just squeeze into it. That way we're staying under tension. Getting down to a touch and pausing for 3 seconds and then squeeze into it and try to keep everything tight. So it's trying other things to really build the body control along with the movement control. And then the more areas that we can start to control, now we're at 100%. Our setups are going to be perfect. And that's another reason why I say instead of doing 3 sets of 10, do 10 sets of 3. Because you're still getting 30 reps. You have a better chance of executing all 30 reps than you did doing 3 sets of 10. Because you might get, your first set, you might get 8, and you might struggle with 2. Your second set, you might get 5, you're going to struggle with the last. And you might need some help. You get to that third set, there's no fucking way you're getting all 10.
Yeah.
If you're gassing out in set 2, you're going to gas out in set 3, and now you're just going to be like, well, fuck it, I'm done. Or you can find that nice weight. I can do 3s. Just absolutely murder all the way through 10 sets. I just did 30 perfect reps. I left with 100% perfect work every time.
Honestly, that's sometimes what happens when I go with him. If we do 3 sets at 10, by the time I get to that third set, I'm gassed.
Yeah.
I'm gassed.
But the benefit to doing the 10 sets of 3, not only do you get the more beneficial work, but you get 10 setup practices as well. So now the more perfect I can get my setup, the more perfect my lifts are going to be. And anywhere that I can improve in the perfection of my lifting, that's where the benefit's going to grow. And that's where I'm going to have growth. If I struggle anywhere, is it fatigue? Is it strength? Or is it technique? So those are the things that we kind of learn as we go on through this process. It's like we are going to fail. Nobody's ever perfect. I'm always learning something. And that's where I enjoy the most. I don't know everything. I'm not the best at this. But I learn every time that I fail. And that's what I try to teach when I coach people. It's just like, I'm not the best. I have the knowledge. I can give you the information, but I'm not just going to give you the information. I'm going to give you the information. I'm going to try to teach you how to apply it the best I can with how you lift. So I'm not trying to take a lifter and be like, oh yeah, you need to, no, you're just all fucked up. No, I'm going to find out how they lift, and I'm going to try to just kind of fix little pieces to put you in a little bit more comfortable position. Because I don't want you to completely change everything. Unless you just absolutely look like total dog shit and everything is wrong. Then I'm going to be like, we need to erase everything that you think you know, and you need to know nothing right now. Because I love it when people are like, well, I don't know how to do this. Perfect. Because there's nothing we have to erase and there's nothing we have to fix. So everything is like a fucking blank piece of paper. And that's when coaching is the absolute best. Because when you got some dudes like, oh, I already know how to do that. Do you though? And then it's more heartbreaking and it's more detrimental to them mentally because they thought everything that they were doing was right. And it's just like, no, I can already tell. Like the second you lower that bar, I was like, you feel that in your shoulders, don't you? Yeah. It's like you have massive elbow pain when you're done benching, don't you? Yeah. Yeah, okay. Do you not want to have that? I was like, because it's just a matter of boom. Once you lock your wrist, no more wrist pain. Once you start directing that elbow in and not flaring out, there's none of that weight pushing my elbow out. So I don't have these little fucking pains in here. So there goes tendonitis. And you're just fluently moving the way your body needs to move. And when I'm benching, I don't want my arm in here because it's going to push everything out to get that bar to come straight down. So it's just like this. If I'm here, my elbows go straight out. even if I try to tuck, once I get here, that still pushes everything that way. And I can feel that pull right here, even with just a little PVC bar. But if I take everything out just a little bit wider, I don't feel it in my shoulder at all.
Right.
And it's just a position of I want my hand just right outside my elbow. So when I start coming down, I do have this little maneuverability so I can balance and I can control the bar. I don't want to be too close in here because I'm going to lose everything. Because everything's just going to get so far and it's just going to break away. And now when I go to press, everything has to come back under. So now I have unwanted movement here, and that's where it starts to take all that and it pinches. So if I'm already set and locked, all this is a pivot point. Because it's technically moving like this. Instead of pushing out. Everything stays in. So the shoulder stays in its locked place and it has no extra movement. So if I'm too wide, now it becomes an elbow issue. Because now that weight wants to do this and it's putting that unwanted pressure here because you're constantly feeling like you have to get your arm here, but it's stuck out here. So now when I get down to the bottom, everything wants to push out instead of in. So it's just a matter of hand position. Squats, just a matter of foot position. Deadlift, matter of foot position. That's it.
Hell yeah. That's, I mean, you break it down so elegantly.
Yeah, like it's easy to follow.
And that's why I say, take all the complicated shit out of it and throw it away. Simplify it. Control, consistency, stability. If you always treat the bench like a bowling ball on a 2x4, you're never going to have stability, you're not going to have control, and bench is going to be super hard. As long as you have stability and control, everything else will follow.
Yeah, sky's the limit. Wow.
And once you feel like you're hitting a wall, don't try to make those big jumps. Just back down a little bit, hit a few extra reps, put a little bit more recovery into it. Go back the next week, try again. And that's all it is. Chipping away at a wall will eventually break that wall down.
Right.
Running into it, you're probably just going to knock yourself out, and that's where the discouragement comes in, and that's why people quit. Is because they hit that wall and they don't know how to break through it. They think running at it is the answer. No. Just grab yourself a little fucking hammer and just chip away at that fucker. Eventually, you're going to have a hole. Now go get yourself a bigger hammer.
Right.
Now you're going to have a bigger hole. Now go get yourself a bigger hammer. And now you're going to be able to walk right through that hole. And that brings us back to how much gunpowder do you have in your dynamite? Because that's what we're going to need to explode that hole, to make a hole that I can go through every time. And now I have my tunnel, and as that tunnel gets smaller, my focus gets bigger.
So I hear you speak a lot about recovery. What does recovery entail? I mean, I've seen the tub out back. Are you an ice bath type of guy, or
Oh yeah.
is that like the primary form?
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, I want to try it so bad.
For some people, it's for some people, but it's not for everybody.
Sure.
Because there's a lot of positives, and then you hear a lot of negatives. Well, it is cold, but what it does after a lift is it intensifies basically the squeeze of the muscle, like all the tension, because you're just.
Yep.
So everything gets tense. So it's squeeze, like your muscles just basically.
They're contracted.
They get shocked, and it starts to squeeze out the lactic acids. So it's going to prevent a lot of cramping. It's going to prevent all that shit. It's going to allow the muscles to forcefully deplete themselves of any oxygen or blood. Once you control your breathing, you'll get an immense amount of good blood flow. that will start to rush to your muscles. And then as you get the breathing more and more controlled, now oxygen is going to start to reach those muscles.
Cool.
So when I get out, I actually have the hot shower because you only need to go about 2 to 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Max. 2 minutes is perfect. 5 if you had a really heavy session, I'll go for about 4 to 5 minutes instead of 2.
Right.
But I'll have a hot shower ready to rock and roll. It'll be steaming, and you just get into it. It'll suck at first, but just let that just kind of sit in the steam and breathe that steam in, because that'll start to like reopen up the lungs, and you'll start to really be able to get really deep breaths. And then at that point, just turn down the shower to like a comfortable hot, and then just step right in there and just stay in there for about 5 to 10 minutes, because that'll allow all the muscles to relax and really start to take in more blood and oxygen.
Cool.
So a lot of people say there's a lot of negative side effects, which I don't have. I have never experienced any negative side effects. I've always felt like $1 million when I'm done.
Yeah.
Even if I don't do the hot shower. Like, it wakes you up. It actually helps with metabolism.
Yeah.
So if you have a really low metabolism, ice baths will actually spike it and actually help raise your metabolism. So if you have a fat loss problem, and I've lost so much and I just can't seem to lose anymore, doing ice baths will restart your metabolism.
Oh, I've never heard of negatives from ice bath.
Yeah, I never heard negatives either. Honestly.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I only say it because I've only heard of a few. They say it's like if you have heart issues, it can be really bad for your heart, just because it's so cold.
Like the shock that you're
Yep.
in, right?
So they say if you have heart complications, don't do it by yourself. Make sure you have somebody sitting with you.
Cool.
So there's not. I don't see a lot of negatives because I have never experienced any negatives. I have a bad heart and I've still never experienced like anything. So it's like, I recommend ice baths. I recommend something to where you can get, like, everybody will be, just a cold shower. I like to be able to have my entire body submerged.
Yeah.
I'll just have my head poking out, put some gloves on your hands, put a stocking hat on your head, because even in the wintertime, it feels great.
Yeah. Yeah, I've always heard good benefits to it.
Yeah.
Are you like a massage type guy? Do you like have muscle work
Yeah.
like that?
Getting a massage every once in a while, keeping up with chiropractic is crucial if you have those problems.
Right.
Like, if you don't have any back problems, you're a healthy fucking dude. You're a healthy female. Recovery comes down to movement. So after we're done with like a main movement, everything else just needs to be light. Just needs to be full range of motion, full squeezes. Instead of doing like lat pull downs and shit like that, like with machines.
Yeah.
Since obviously you don't see any machines, I do a lot of my stuff with bands. For the fact that I can have as much or as little tension through the motion as I want.
Yeah.
So if I want a lot of tension at lockout, I'll just take a few steps out and I'll get more tension here and less here. If I have a machine and you have your weight, say we're doing 100-pound lat pull downs. I have 100 pounds trying to pull my joints this way as I do having to pull it back into position and then pull that 100 pounds down into a squeeze. Okay? I don't want the 100 pounds here.
Yeah.
Okay? Because I'm already tired from doing this. So all I want is the squeeze in my back. So I'll set the bands to where there'll be very little tension here, but I can pull into a fuck ton of tension once I get to this point here into my squeeze. So now I can hold the tension into the squeeze area where I want the benefit, because that's where I want the blood and the oxygen to go to. If I'm sitting there always trying to have extra movements, that's just extra movement, and that's extra detriment on the joints and the ligaments that I don't want on my joints and my ligaments. Because my joints and my ligaments already took a max beating over here or on there or down here.
Right.
So everything else is like 50% or lower in weight. So just by chance, if I'm barbell rowing 300 to 400 pounds, my lat pull downs, I don't want to be anywhere close to that. I just want anywhere from 100 to 150 pounds of tension at the squeeze. And then all the way through it just gets lighter. I don't have to worry about my body moving to control that weight. I can just get the squeeze here, and I can just let that go out nice and comfortable, right back to here. And then I can just get right back into position, and I can take that squeeze where I want it.
Cool.
And that goes for anything. Tricep, just skull crushers. I can set my bands up top. I don't have to lay down.
Right.
So now I can work tight, the ripping of, I can get a little hip work in while I get into position, and now I can just do my skull crushers with bands. And I just use my little PVC bars. So I'd probably say 90% of all my accessories are with bands.
That's kick-ass.
And then I have the thicker bands back there. So back work, I'll use those. Shoulder work, tricep work, other stuff, I'll use that shit.
We're open to it. I would love to have like a meetup at some point where we do this again and just see where we're at all collectively. Because we all three work out. We're trying to get stronger. I mean, I'm trying to be as strong as I can. You know?
I'll come to you guys next time.
Oh, cool. We don't have nothing as elaborate like this, but
well, you can come here, or I'll come wherever you are.
yeah, Planet Fitness has been our home. I want to get maybe a different membership so that way we can actually start working on it. Yeah, he has any time. So
Yeah, I got 8 time. I love it.
he knows pretty well. I refuse to work out on a Smith machine. I can't stand him.
all the time, like,
I hate them.
I can't stand
I
him.
hate them.
I feel awkward.
They have their place, but no.
Yeah, because I get under him and I feel like that angle for me is where I'm like super weird on, and then being taller, I don't feel like I get a full extension on. I feel like I cheat it up.
No, because for a Smith machine, really on bench press, the only benefit that I see is you want to get the bar here. And since there's no movement this direction, it's really just working this.
Just the press. You're not getting the control.
Yeah, you're literally just taking the 6-inch pops, because that's where your arm is just going to be in that one little fixed motion. And then once we get past that 6 inches, that's where that mooning starts to come up.
Gotcha.
Because you got to get your elbow in a position to where it can go straight down again. So if you're constantly coming out this way, you got to come back this way before you can get your elbow in that straight down position.
Cool. Well, Brian, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Hey, you bet, man.
The den. I can't even believe it. I have some notes that I wrote out for this, like our conversation today. I put 225 question mark because I was like, I don't know.
235 with a big fuck you right by. Later, bitches.
Yeah, that was such a cool feeling. So, yeah, incredible. We really, really appreciate your time.
Yeah, anytime, man.